Are you there, Kels? There she is. Now, you'll have to go and delete the first 2 minutes and 57 seconds of this video on the replay. I don't know how to do it either. I just hit my 1,000 subs, and thank you to all my subscribers and my new subscribers. I have done a mobile live from my hospital bed, but this is from my desktop computer. So I have to learn all the new settings and how to do this. Eventually, I'll learn to do StreamYard, and I'll be able to bring other people on the live with me. Now, Catherine Ray, do you hear the sound? Do I need to mute myself, or do you hear me? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Can you actually hear the audio, Catherine Ray? Let me know. Perfect sound. Okay. I'm surprised because I'm using my cheap $15 Amazon mic. Let me tell you, now that I'm monetized, if and when I see my first check, I'm going to buy a Yeti microphone. That has been my dream from day one. They only cost about $100, but I may need some accessories to go with it. Like I might need some headsets in case, like earphones, in case I do a live stream via StreamYard where other people are involved. And then it'll be like the little boxes, like the Brady Bunch. So you see the little boxes on the screen, and there can be reverb from the other people speaking. And therefore, you have to turn off your own volume. But if I'm just by myself, I figured I need to turn on my volume so you can actually hear me through my microphone. But now that you're here, hello, Kelly. Welcome. Let me tell you what happened this week. For those who know me, you know that I am a cancer survivor from 2019, 2020. Those who still know me from all that way back know that I suffered a heart problem starting November the 11th. By November 14th, I was in a hospital, I was in an ambulance, and I've basically made that hospital my new home. I should actually be getting my mail there by now. I've been there 7 times. And they think the cause of this problem may be due to the red devil chemo poisoning. Although I am a long-term high blood pressure sufferer, I take a lot of meds for that. And that can wear the heart down as well. Bad genes can wear the heart down. And of course, this has now caused heart failure. Of course, the heart failure could have come first that caused the out of control sinus rhythm. But, let's just put all the gory details behind. So I've had 4 cardioversions, and 3 weeks and 2 days to be exact, I had a major surgery. I had a cardiac ablation, and they basically cut 3 holes in an area that you don't want to know where. And there's 3 catheters that are inserted into the arteries, and they go inside the heart with these catheters, and they basically burn parts of the upper chambers of the heart. And then as time goes by, nodules form, and then your electrical signals are supposed to go correct. And eventually, through recovery, you're supposed to go back into sinus rhythm and out of AFib. And then that'll help the heart failure, hopefully. But in my case, that didn't happen. In my case, it fixed it temporarily. And then less than 2 days later, I was actually in an ambulance in the middle of the night where my numbers were sky high. Got to the hospital, oxygen tanked. They don't know why, but they were able to get it back. They put me in the hospital. Some general physician who wasn't too bright decided to put me on lung treatments. And those lung treatments raise your heart rate and threw me right over the edge, put me back into AFib. So I had the surgery on Wednesday. I was in the hospital Friday, Saturday on an amio-drone 24-hour IV drip. Not fun. And by Sunday afternoon, since all the operating rooms and cath labs were full, they set up a mini operating room right in my hospital bed and zapped me again. And that worked. It worked all of 2 or 3 days. By the time I got home a day or 2 later, I was right back in the same sinking boat. So had to get back into the line. They kind of pushed me a little forward. It was scheduled for Tuesday, April 3rd. Now, normally I don't sleep before a procedure, but I actually slept a little bit night, like maybe 5 or 6 hours. And that's really good for me because usually I don't sleep at all before I have a major medical appointment or a hospital stay. And I had the alarm set for 9 o'clock to take pills, blood pressure, heart medication, the normal, but some of the drugs were going to have to be withheld. So that's why, once you get to the hospital, they've got to kind of get you in the line fast because the heart rate is now going out of control. So that's a little bit of a concern. But I woke up Tuesday morning to my alarm and took my medication just to realize that there was like 20 messages and missed calls and voicemails on my phone. And apparently there was some mix up, or I'm not going to say a curse word here, but F up in the hospital. And they tried to change the schedule. They tried to get everybody in early. That didn't work. Then the doctor's office called and said they didn't have an anesthesiologist, but I don't know what it was. Then my ride was texting while I was trying to straighten it out with the hospital and the doctor's office, saying that she had a medical emergency. She was going to USC as a walk-in to try to get an emergency dental procedure done, which she's been trying to get done for months. And I told her to take care of it because it could kill her. So I was like, don't worry, I could take an Uber to the hospital, but I think they're going to cancel my procedure anyway. So she goes down to USC. I'm stuck at home. I used a few choice curse words. I apologize to everybody, but I was very upset. I'm sure my blood pressure boiled at that point. I was so upset. I had already fasted all night long. I was starving. I was dehydrated, still exhausted, even though I had slept. And then I realized, now that the ride is collapsing, maybe it just wasn't meant to be today. Well, a few hours later, get a text from her saying she's coming home from USC. They can't get her in until the next day, so she won't be able to give me a ride that day either. Well, around that time, my friend Nancy wrote me a text asking me how my procedure went, and I said, I'm not even at the hospital. They canceled it. I have to do it tomorrow. I have to start all over, and I don't have a ride. Well, this wonderful, sweet friend of mine decided, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you a ride. I don't know what time I can pick you up that day because I have something in the afternoon in the West Valley, but I can give you a ride. Now, thank you, Nancy. If you're watching this now or you're watching on the replay, thank you. Oh, your cat Ravioli is watching. Okay. If you look over in the corner underneath the end table lamp, you will see Amelia Kinsley. So, Kelsa Kinsley, Kitty, was here earlier, but she didn't hang out long enough when we finally got this straightened out. So I finally calmed down and I thought, well, for some reason, Tuesday, April 3rd was not meant to be. There were just too many things going against me. So I'll refast, withhold the meds, start all over again on, I guess it was Thursday? Well, what day? Today's the 5th. So the original schedule was Wednesday, April 3rd. The reschedule was Thursday, April 4th. Come HELL or high water. It was getting done. So beautiful Nancy. Thank you. She got me to the hospital on time. Made it to all of her appointments. I went through the normal check-in. It's like going through the DMV, window 1, window 2, window 3. Then they have to push me up in a wheelchair. I'm carrying my cane, looking like a 90-year-old woman. They put me in to the second floor into a pre-op short stay room 8. I remember they gave me all my clothes minus the party hat. I really like this nurse. His name was Peter, and he forgot my party hat. And I thought, great. And since I didn't get my hair cut, since I was back in the hospital, I knew that this hair would get tangled up in all the heart stickers, which it did. And I still had the glue on me, by the way, all over my chest from the last day. And I told him, I've got glue on me from November that hasn't come off yet. This is stay number 7. I told Peter my whole background. He said that my doctor, we'll call him Dr. M, that he would be on time. However, the anesthesiologist was stuck in surgery and he was going to be done shortly. So he's got to finally get me hooked up to the monitors. I'm surprised he didn't hook me up sooner, but he finally hooked me up. They were basically setting up a mini surgery room in my short-term bed. So I was not in an operating room. I was not in a cath lab. I was in the short stay bed, just with a little curtain. It doesn't even have a door. It just has a curtain, stripped down to my underwear with my little gown on and my little non-slips, non-skid socks. Was told to use the restroom before they started my IVs and got everything going. Of course, after they started all that, what does the IV do? It goes straight through me. I need to go back to the restroom, go back, take care of that, hobble my way. The nurse is carrying the IV. And I'm starting to feel a little better at that point because I was so dehydrated. And I even begged for ice. I said I wouldn't swallow it. I won't eat it, but just give it to me because I need to put it on my lips. I'm so dehydrated. I just, like I'm going to pass out. I'm so dehydrated. And, but the IV was starting to work. And he's looking at the monitors. And then he's like, yeah, you're really out of rhythm. Like, this is really bad. And I'm like, I know. I got rhythm issues. I've got blood pressure issues. Then my blood pressure was sky high. And they said, no, it's not a big deal because you're in a hospital. You're nervous. And I'm like, I'm not that nervous. It shouldn't be that high. And they're like, don't worry about it. When you wake up, it'll drop. It'll drop dramatically. Like, we don't want it to go too low. So we're not worried about your pulse rate. We're not worried about your extremely high blood pressure at the moment. And, they start getting me ready. And at some point, the guy says, oh, I see Dr. M now. He's walking down the hallway. And then he makes a turn, looks at my monitor one more time, and has a funny look on his face. Of course, at that point, I'm scared to look. I'm scared to turn around because I'm thinking, oh my God, what has happened now? And he looks and he says, you are back in sinus rhythm. And I said, you're kidding me. And he's like, no, I am serious. He said, you were really out of rhythm just a few minutes ago. And then I saw Dr. M and I looked up and he goes, you're 5 or 10 minutes away from anesthesia and you're back in rhythm. At that moment, the doctor comes walking through to do my procedure where they're going to shock me. It'll be cardioversion number 5. And this is after I've already had one in January. I had 3 of them in March, plus the ablation. 2 of them were the same day while I was in the ablation. One was a few days after the surgery. And now here I am in early April, a week ahead of my birthday, thinking this is never going to work. It'll work temporarily. I'll go home. And 2 or 3 days later, it'll pop right back out of rhythm and I'll be back in the same sinking boat. At that point, just wanting to drown. But went back, looked at the monitor. It looked normal to me. The doctor walks through the door. He's shocked. He has a big smile that comes across his face. He's got to be back downstairs in the cath lab or the operating room in 15 minutes. So he's got to make a decision really quick. And they obviously can't defibrillate a heart that's pumping properly at that moment. Well, it might not be pumping properly, but at least the rhythm was back. It's called sinus rhythm. So it's either good or it's bad. And at that moment, it was great. So here I am back, lying in the hospital bed. The anesthesiologist is literally in the elevator. He's on his way. He's due to be in my room at any moment. And my doctor, Dr. M, who is the electrophysiologist or electrophysicardiologist. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. He's also an electrical engineer with a degree from Princeton, besides being a doctor and a cardiologist and a specialist cardiologist and an electrophysiologist cardiologist. I know that's a mouthful, but he orders an emergency EKG. They rush an EKG machine into my room because he's only got 15 minutes for this entire procedure. They look at it. She prints it out, hands it to the doctor, and he tells the nurse, Peter, unhook everything, take the IV out. She can go home. Now, my ride is not going to be there till several hours later. In the meantime, she's sending me a text saying, I'm leaving the West Valley now. I think I can be there in 45 minutes. And I'm like, you're not going to believe what has just happened. Your prayers seem to have worked. She prayed with me in the car, hugged me, prayed. We prayed to Jesus. We said amen together. That Jesus and God would watch over me. I'm not overly religious. Spiritual, yes. Religious, no. But the prayers certainly can't hurt. And for whatever reason, it wasn't meant for me to be there on the 3rd. It was meant for me to be there on the 4th. And literally 5 to 10 minutes before the anesthesia was going to be, the propofol was going to be injected into the IV, my rhythm mysteriously returned. Now, this can happen for the next 3 months. It'll take 3 months to recover from the cardioversion. The bad news is my blood pressure is still high. It's not as sky high as it was at the hospital, but I did try to go to sleep last night with a throbbing migraine and my ears were ringing. So I knew that my blood pressure was high. But today, all the meds are going to be on regular schedule. Now, the opposite end of that is that now that my heart is in rhythm and I'm still taking all of the meds, including the anti-arrhythmia meds, my pulse got a little bit too low. But last time that happened, and they said, rush into the doctor immediately, by the time I got there, it was okay again. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was Nancy's prayer, everybody else praying for me. My sister's been praying for me. I've been praying for me. I've been praying to Kelsa Kinsley, the real Kelsa Kinsley, not Kelsa the cat, but the real Kelsa Kinsley. I've been praying to her in heaven to watch over me and take care of me and let my heart return to rhythm. Maybe it was the IV. I know that when you're hydrated, it can kick your rhythm back in. So, and I was very dehydrated, but I've had this problem since November. And all of the fixes have been temporary, and then it goes right back out of rhythm again. So why this happened, why this miracle happened yesterday, why everything fell apart on Wednesday, I guess it wasn't meant to be for me to be in that hospital Wednesday. It was meant to be for me to be there on Thursday. And it was meant to be that the anesthesiologist, who I didn't catch his last name, but his first name was Marshall, very nice guy. It was meant to be for him to be stuck in this surgery downstairs and to be a few minutes late. And during that time that the doctor was getting ready to do the procedure and we were just waiting for the anesthesiologist to come up the elevator, my heart suddenly returned to sinus rhythm on its own, without a cardioversion, without an ablation, without medication, the IV, the prayers, being there at the right place at the right time. I don't know. Oh, I'm going to read Catherine Ray's comment here. It says, the home BP machines are not accurate. Migraine and ear ringing are a better indicator. Yes, that is true. And I recently have a new one. In fact, I can show it to you. This actually tells me if I'm out of rhythm, but it doesn't tell me everything. So I had to buy something called a cardia meter or monitor. I'm not sure. It starts with a K, Cardia, Kardia. And basically it is a portable EKG machine that you can carry with you in your purse or your wallet. And it goes through your phone. Now, unlike a real EKG machine that has 12 leads, this one only has 6. I don't know how it works, but I figured that heart rate is better than this store-bought blood pressure monitor. So I'm not going to freak out today. I told myself, don't freak out. It's Friday. My body is still recovering. Now that my heart is back in rhythm, I can have these blood pressure issues, even with medication, just due to the inflammation that I have from all of the past procedures that I've had over the last several months. So I'm happy that I'm 6 feet above ground today. I'm grateful for that. Hopefully when I wake up tomorrow morning, I do wake up tomorrow morning and I'm 6 feet above tomorrow. I feel, Catherine, Kels, whatever you'd like me to call you. I do feel a little better. I mean, I was able to go to the store for a few minutes today and I was actually able to pick up some prescriptions at my local drugstore. And I wouldn't have been able to do that a couple of days ago. Now, I still feel a little migraine-y, not as bad as I was last night. I mean, last night I was trying to talk myself out of that I don't have a brain tumor, because the doctor's like, well, after all this time, you really shouldn't be feeling this bad, but maybe the medication is making you feel bad. They're eventually going to wean me off of that. But when they do, then my blood pressure medication doesn't seem to work as well. So, that causes other problems. So, as he explained several months ago, he said this is a marathon. It's not a race. It is a marathon. And, I'm going to be dealing with this for the rest of my life, just like I am dealing with the stage 3, grade 3 breast cancer diagnosis. Hopefully, knock on wood, I'm still cancer free. We won't use the R word because that's a temporary condition. It's only temporary. If you look up on Dr. Google, you will see that most people don't come out of stage 3, grade 3. It's usually too advanced, and the outcome is poor. And you know what they're saying. But now we have to deal with all this heart stuff and hope that there's nothing else wrong with me, because the doctor really expected that I would feel a lot better by now, and I haven't. But, that's because my heart has still been out of control. So hopefully they'll get all this straightened out. Oh, I just got a super sticker. Thank you. I've been calling you Kels, Kelly, Catherine, and Katie. I know who you are, and I know that you're on your daughter's username. But thank you, Catherine, Kelly, Kels, Katie. I appreciate you so much. I've been watching on my YouTube Studio app. I've been watching my monetization, and I think I'm at $5.25 or something, but it's only been like 5 or 6 days, and they don't pay until the first 100. So, and they take 45%. So it may be a long time before I can buy that Yeti microphone. I know when I was semi-monetized at 500, where you can actually have access to the super thanks. Well, actually all the supers in premieres, lives, and the super thanks on the videos, I didn't make a dime. So that 500 was kind of a joke, except it seemed to be a magic number for me, because when I hit the 500 subs, it very, very quickly went to 1,000. But I also tried a few tricks just to get it going, and it seemed to work because I seemed to build up a lot faster than that. But thank you. That was not necessary. Miss Ray, thank you so much. And thank you to all my new subs, my YouTube family. I love you. And most of you will probably see this on the playback. Now, since I've only done a few lives, once the live ends, it will take, maybe a half hour or more for the video to process so that it will be up. You will have to click the lives tab. You won't see it under the video tab, and you will not see it under the shorts tab. Once it's processed and up for replay, you will have to see it in the live tab. And if you click on comments, you'll see like a little dot below that. And if you just swipe, I can't remember if it's to the left or the right on the comments, then the chat comes up. I've heard a lot of new content creators lately who just got monetized, and they're like, I don't understand why I can't see my chat in the replay, because I'd like to go through it and I'd like to answer some of the questions that I wasn't able to answer during the live. But you can see that chat again. You just have to swipe on the comments. So if anybody's watching this and you want to see the actual chat, make sure that when you're watching the recorded live, that you go to the comment section and you swipe, and then you'll be able to see the comments. You won't be able to comment in the chat, but you can comment in the comments, if that makes any sense. I know YouTube is complicated. I'm too old to be learning this, but I appreciate Catherine Ray. Thank you so much. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, my dear. Thank you, my dear friend. And we will try to figure out how to end this. And just pray, everybody pray that's watching this, put the prayers in the comments, that my heart stays into rhythm and that I get my blood pressure and my pulse back under control, and that I do at some point can return to somewhat of a normal life. Thank you very much. Love you all.